What's going on, ladies and gents? Dangerous here, bringing you guys today our operator review for Capitao for the new Rainbow Six Siege Skull Rain DLC. Man, it's been a while since I did an operator review. I guess technically the last operator review I did was when Valkyrie and Blackbeard came out. So, without further ado, let's talk about our new man, Capitao. Capitao is a max speed operator, so he has 1 armor, and he comes equipped with the Para 308 and the SAW, the M249 SAW. Both guns, amazing. Low recoil, stupid amount of damage. The SAW is like the only LMG in this game you can put a compensator on, which is crazy. People ask what's the best way to describe it. It's not a best of IQs and a best of fuses machine gun. It's literally, if they had a baby, this is what it'd be. The rate of fire isn't insane, but it's not too slow. The damage is nice. The capacity is 100 bullets. So really, it does take kind of the best of both, but it's not that it takes the best of both. It meets everything halfway. I guess that's the best thing I could say for it. So the SAW is a viable pick. On top of that, he has, once again, the Para 308, which is my personal favorite. With a long reload, but stupid amount of damage. Like, we're talking about this thing can dance with, like, if they're on opposite teams, obviously, like, Blackbeard's assault rifle, this thing meets it for power. And especially since Capitao's got a lot of speed, you can get in there, spray people down with the 308 or the SAW, get out, and do shit ton damage really quickly. Now, I know people are going to ask me, what do you think about the angle grip that came out for it? Really, stick with the vertical grip. At most times in Rainbow Six Siege, it's best to engage every corner when ADS anyways, and aiming down sights a little bit faster didn't really help that much, and you're losing a lot, I mean a lot of recoil assistance with the vertical grip. Overall, the vertical grip really helps because that gun does get away from you. I have max recoil compensation for the SAW and the Para 308. I do run a flash fire on it because I do prefer to be accurate, but even with the grip alone, as you guys can see from the gameplay, it's pretty laser-like. So I'd suggest going with that. The angle grip is nice, but I haven't found a full use for it just of yet. Let's see what else to talk about. Sus, his crossbow. So his crossbow does 20 damage per second with his burning oxygen arrow, which is really nice. It helps lock down areas, and as you see from the gameplay here and around, I've gotten so many double kills and just kills with in general that it does its job. If you get stuck in it for a bit, you're gonna hurt a lot. So if you want to double up on an area with, per se, an arrow, so they have to come up one arrow and then the other, you're really going to lock down a hallway. Or if you're good with the timing, you can replace it quickly so he can't get up after that. Once again, you're going to have a really good time. Just be very cautious, and it's very, very important to stay in line so you don't make sure that you waste your arrows. Now, for the smoke itself, I found very good use for it. There was times where I need to smoke off an area so the enemy couldn't see me. I grabbed the hostage and run out of there. It was really effective. The smoke is dark blue, so you know who is popping it. On top of that, you can also be very accurate with it because you're shooting it with an arrow. The arrow itself, when direct impact, did like 5 damage. So even if someone was down, we noticed, you couldn't kill them with it, which isn't really a bad thing. It doesn't really make a difference. If you want to be a cheeky guy, if you down someone in the secure area room, then sure, you can go for that. But other than that, his crossbow is a very effective tool. I definitely like it a lot. So, the best way to play with Capitao, is I have to say, is you gotta be tactically aggressive. You can't stop pushing. He needs to be in the front, or else he's useless. He's not a character that can sit back and support that much. He needs to be up there. He needs to be the guy helping plant the bomb. He needs to be the guy planting the bomb. He needs to be up there to support his teammates. He's a very strong supportive character. That crossbow was so essential to helping your team win, it's a little ridiculous. So even on top of that, his pistol too is absolutely powerful. Everything that comes equipped with the new Brazilian operators, they just make them stand out as, you know, their pistols are definitely not something you want to mess around with. These things are extreme powerhouses. So on top of that, Capitao, I'd have to say, pairs up extremely well with Buck. He also pairs up extremely well with Thermite, just because based off the fact that Thermite can rip giant holes in the wall, which gives him more free range to spray. You know, he can move up more, he can use his arrows in. Buck can shoot out holes that he can then pierce through with his arrow and then cause, you know, using his burning oxygen technique or whatever you want to call it, and, you know, burn in the area. Overall, really, really, really important that he gets those arrows in there. So as many peoples as he has, it's really important. His real downside, unfortunately, is that he doesn't have breaching charges. He has either flash or frags, Always run frags because you want to make as many holes through walls as possible, because once again, those arrows are extremely important. Now, also back to the arrows for a bit. The arrows do have a definitive range. I believe Thunder Spear was telling me it was about 25 meters. They begin to drop. It is an arrow. They do have some drop. And then apparently he said they didn't even go off. I don't know if that's true or not for the not going off part, but they do have some drop. But you really don't want to be using that arrow at extreme range anyways. It's really not viable. Also, when using the arrow, ADS at all times. You don't want any miscalculation with the arrow. You want it to go where you need to go, because if you fuck up with it, you're going to have a bad time. And that arrow is so powerful, and if you get in the right spot, it's going to be a fantastic time for everyone. Trust me, you're really going to enjoy it. Overall, Capitao is a very strong character on Bomb. Hostage, use his smokes to your advantage. Use those asphyxiating arrows or whatever they're called. Also to your advantage, block off the people. On top of that, you don't want to get locked out. You don't want people to come back in. You don't want anything to hurt you in any way. That's the point of them. Lock the enemy out, make them hurt, and then get the hostage with your speed, or do whatever you have to do with your speed. Get out there and get ready to defend. The power that he brings, the support that he brings, definitely going to make him a top operator in the pro leagues and anywhere. Once someone masters Capitao, I guarantee you this guy is going to take supportive characters to a whole new dimension. Yes, Thatcher's still an amazing supportive character. He's still a very necessity. Thermite, great supporting character. Capitao is going to probably wind up being a necessity too, just because if you have a really good Capitao, you're going to really reap the rewards. Like I said, if you have a bad Capitao though, it's very difficult to be bad with Capitao, but it's not impossible to be bad with Capitao. His weapons, they still hit really hard, but if you start getting, if you start noticing someone can't use those crossbows effectively, I would really suggest telling them or fixing them what they do, because the best thing to do is lock down doorways, lock down staircases, anywhere that they can come from. If you're in a room that only has one entrance back up to it or something, like on Favela, I believe it's in one of the grow houses, not the grow room, but it's on the top of some sort of tower, and there's like a staircase that leads back up there. If you walk it down with Capitao, no enemies coming back up whatsoever. It is damn near impossible once it's locked down with those with the burning bolts. The person coming up, even if he rushes through the fire, is going to be in a lot of pain. Probably 1 or 2 shots from death, even at that. So like I said, good Capitaos really, they're really going to assist you in the long run. So if you guys really want to get skilled, make sure you use those bolts effectively. If you see someone behind a deployable shield, that's something recommended too. I don't usually recommend that all the time, but if you see someone who's put a deployable shield and back themselves in a corner, I'd use it on those too, because they have to hop out. You're wasting more time sticking behind there. It's not going to be a good time for them. They're going to catch on fire. There's a good chance you'll end up killing them and or downing them, but if you have to, I would suggest saving your frags for situations like that. Overall, it's just best to use your bolts to lock down areas. But if you do wind up getting little cheeky kills with it, I don't see why not. Also, something else you can do on top of that is if you see an enemy go down, you can wait for someone to come by. You can shoot a firebolt on them too if you want. They're also really good for countering Doc. You can place a firebolt by him as he's reviving himself. He's forced to revive himself right into the burning bolt. Once again, not a fun time for Doc at all. It's just not a good time. So as you've heard from my review of me going back and forth with some tips and stuff, overall Capitao, amazing operator. I think he's a very strong add to the game. He doesn't take too much of a learning curve, but if you really took the time to put more effort into learning how to use him, you're going to reap the rewards even more. Once again, if I had to give him a solid rating of 10, he's definitely a solid 8. Obviously, because he doesn't have that strong of armor, he can get down very quickly. Accidental frags are a thing. If someone misses with a frag grenade, you have a bad time. If you miss with a bolt, there's still room for error, but if you try to close that margin of error as best as you can, Capitao is going to be your best friend. Oh my god, I think this guy, I definitely want to use him a lot more. He's definitely becoming one of my strong favorites. Even though using him for a little bit. It's not just the whole everyone doesn't know how to counter him. It's more on the lines of, if you're really smart, there are no strong counters to them. They can't put out their firebolt, stuff like that. So if you catch an enemy and they're roaming, they have to come back, you're going to punish them really hard. Other than that, if you guys have any more questions, leave them down below in the comment section. I will try to answer that. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's review of Capitao. Tomorrow I have I can never pronounce her name. Karu. I can't pronounce her name. I'm sorry. So sorry. I will promise I will practice her name for the next video for her review tomorrow, and then I'll have a map review of Favela coming out. We're still trying to play on it because new maps, you barely ever play on them because, you know, logic ensues. Anyways, guys, I'm the Dangerous Moose, and I'll see you sexy beast in the next episode. Peace.